fellow Vikings, and welcome to the Lair of the Film Exorcist. Now, like last time, before we start, go ahead and tell me down in the comments section below your favorite Norse mythological creature. Personally, I'm fond of the Draugr, the zombies of Norse mythology who can manipulate their size and have super strength, and usually attack those who wrong them when they were alive, and usually drink people's blood. So they're basically vampires slash zombies. Because tonight we will be taking a look at Vinland Saga. Thorfinn pursues a journey with his father's killer in an order to take revenge and end his life in a duel as an honorable warrior and pay his father a homage. Now on to my opinion. Many people have recommended this show to me, and I thank them for that, because from what I've seen from other reviewers like Glass Reflection and Brandon Anime Review, this show is still pretty big after it ended last winter, and it has won many awards, especially during the first Crunchyroll Awards. This anime was done by the well-known Wit Studio, who was known for Attack on Titan and Seraph of the End, some of my favorite shonen anime of the 2010s, and it's a bit obvious because this show is done heavily in Wit's art style that you can see in most of their shows. And it's directed by Shihei Yabuta, sorry I probably said that wrong, who is known for anime like Parasite and No Game No Life, everybody's favorite shows, which is pretty big, and judging by how well he did on Parasite, this show's hopefully done the gore and story right. So is this show as legendary as the civilization it portrays, or is it another shipwreck? Let's find out. To start, I'd like to say that I really enjoyed the story because the creators really did their research, because many of the characters are based on real-life people from Norse history, like Prince Canute the Great, Thorfinn, Thorkil the Tall, and Leif Erikson, the famous founder of North America. Now, a lot of the story is made up, like the character of Thorfinn, who in real life was an adventurer who followed the route of Leif Erikson and settled in Vinland, aka America. And there was no Askeladd or Bjorn, but it is believed that Askeladd's origins were based on Olaf the Peacock, a real-life Icelandic chieftain. Now, despite these historical inaccuracies, I really enjoyed how this show chose to show the many horrors of being a Viking, like plundering villages and decimating armies. And yes, some of their actions might have been a bit more like what a superhuman might do, like Thorfinn's superhuman strength. But I mean, this is a show, so they did have to find a way to make the battles a lot more brutal to keep us interested, and just really loved each duel between Thorfinn and Askeladd, especially when these were what made our main character stronger. I also love the amazing prologue that we got during the first few episodes of the show that ultimately sets Thorfinn onto his big revenge trip. But I will say that I was a bit sad that we only got a short time with Helga and Ylva, Thorfinn's mother and sister, who literally only received one half of an episode to show how they were dealing with the loss of Thors, and they rarely were mentioned in the show, which made me wonder why this show made them so interesting if they were just gonna leave them out of the rest of the show. I mean, that's such a waste of a good storyline. But I will say, I really enjoyed the show as a whole, and it kind of made me proud to be a part of Norwegian and Welsh culture. Next, let's take a look at the characters, starting with Thorfinn, our main protagonist, who we follow throughout the show as he learns how to become a true warrior through fighting his longtime enemy and mentor Askeladd, and the many battles that he portrays in, like, the Battle of London Bridge, where he ends up breaking, and he ends up being after his first encounter with Thorkil. And during the show, we witness Thorfinn's inner conflict through his many dreams of his father, who is always trying to tell him to give up his pursuit of revenge and go home, But as we see during the show, he ignores these feelings and continues, which does end up driving him crazy. And honestly, I wanted Thorfinn to end up going home after he killed Askeladd, but the show constantly went the other way, which I'm not too disappointed about, but it would have been a nice ending to Thorfinn's story. Next, we have Askeladd, also known as Lucius Arturus Castius, the leader of a small group of Vikings who killed Thors and helped Prince Canute on his journey to York to gain the throne as the King of England. During the series, Askeladd does manipulate Thorfinn into fighting during the war in England and many of his crew invasions by using his desire for revenge against him, which does kind of make him one of the show's main antagonists, but also one of its heroes. Then we have Thorkill, our main antagonist, who follows Thorfinn and Askeladd after the Battle of London, and later becomes allies with the main group after he fights Thorfinn for the second time, and he seems like the comedic part of the show because of his constant love of fighting and how mad he gets when someone escapes him or beats him. And I mean, the guy is literally a giant with 2 axes, so I can't understand why not many people want to fight him, but he is a fun villain unlike King Svein, who we will not be talking about during the show. Finally, we have Prince Canute, who joins the series during the second half when Thorfinn saves him and does through one of the quickest personality changes in the series when he goes from the quietest character in the show to one of the most vocal and caring. And it was pretty interesting how it was pretty interesting following him as he comes to terms with the many terrible events that have happened to him and his goal of creating a paradise on Earth. So yeah, the show was pretty good, and I'm kinda mad that I didn't start watching this until last week because it is really fun to watch, and I can't wait for the second season if we do end up getting one. So I'm giving this a 9.7 out of 10 for the great characters and amazing story, but also because of the characters that ended up being forgotten later on. I'd recommend this to anyone interested in a good war or history anime, and if you're a fan of the shows like Attack on Titan or Berserker. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys on the battlefield next time. Oi, oi, oi!